Hi, Mystie.
Hi.
Thank you for welcoming to your home.
Thank you for
It's
coming.
lovely to come down to Chiton from Adelaide, and today we're just going to go through a few questions, obviously to look into your experience with new old housing, your experience with specialist disability accommodation, and I think you have an amazing story to tell. So just the first thing is can you just tell us a bit about yourself?
Yeah, I've been living in the area for about 8 years. I moved down with my late husband when he was in palliative care because we were living in the middle of nowhere, so we needed somewhere a bit closer to hospitals and things. I was living in a rental. I've just been involved in the local community for about 8 years. Always lived in the area. Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. So what did you do for work?
I work at Steam Ranger, which is the local steam trains, and I'm the information officer down there, and I've been working there for about 6 years now. So,
Oh, brilliant. That's
yeah.
fantastic. And I'm glad to hear, you get to stay connected to the community and have that stable job. So what did you know about SDA? What did you know about specialist disability accommodation?
Not a lot, to be honest. It was a new term for me because I've always just had rentals and things like that. But I came into the position where the people that owned the house that I was living in said they wanted to sell. Luckily for me, they gave me a year's notice. So my support coordinator, Lynn, said to me, well, how about we start looking into some alternative accommodation and looking into SDAs. Yeah, so the only thing was that I was a little bit hesitant at first because I know that SDAs are normally multiple occupancy, which was something I wasn't comfortable with for various reasons. But we started the process with a different company, which didn't turn out too well. So that's when we came to New Dawn.
Oh, I'm glad. And I think that's a common story we hear, which is, especially people in private rentals that, it can cause a bit of insecurity, and that one thing SDA can offer is that stability.
Absolutely.
In the long term.
Yeah.
Going on to, you were talking about you did that transition from that old provider and then you went to New Dawn. Can you tell us a bit about, how that process was of going into a New Dawn housing home?
Well, it was mostly through my support coordinator and talking to Mayel, basically because my last provider made all these promises that they just didn't keep. And I was under a lot of pressure because my moving out date was getting very, very close. And I started panicking, basically going, well, I'm going to have nowhere to live. So, and then we found out through New Dawn, for New Dawn Housing, through my support coordinator, which was just such a relief to know that we could possibly, have that security of having a roof over my head. But of course, I was also fearful because I wanted to live on my own. That was my stipulation because of bad experiences in the past of living with multiple people in an institutionalised home, and I didn't want to repeat of that. But when I was told, no, that's no problem whatsoever, I was very happy with that.
No, I think that's great. And I think, Mael, our operations manager, I'm glad to hear that you had a great experience. And I think that's an interesting story you talk about, of that you were looking for a particular thing, that you were looking for sole occupancy.
Yeah.
And I think that's something for us that we've really been trying to focus on, is that, we can have these different designs, like you said, shared designs and sole occupancy. And the major thing is making sure that that design is suitable for that tenant. So I'm glad that we could find something that really fit you here in Chiton. So probably next is, and you've kind of touched on this, is, how have you found that living in SDA has affected your quality of life?
It's made it a lot easier. I can do a lot more things on my own now. Just having stuff that I can reach pretty much is good. I mean, I have had a few issues because it was already built, basically, obviously. So there was no individualised sort of modifications done. But I knew that beforehand, so there was no surprises. There was nothing that, I came in and went, well, I wasn't told about that. So yeah, it's been pretty smooth. Mail's been wonderful. The whole company's been really good. It was just, would you like to move in here? And I said, absolutely. And a month later, I think I was in.
Fantastic.
So yeah, it was really good.
Have you noticed, obviously you're in a wheelchair, have you noticed there's definitely an ease with access in particular?
The biggest one has been the wider doors, the security of, having the keyless locks. Flat ground is just, it's hard to find anywhere. basically, especially in Victor Harbour and things like that, that's on flat ground. So just a simple thing like that is fantastic.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear that you know, being an SDA has increased the quality of your life and made it better. So kind of going on, stepping into that next thing is you were talking about your experience in new dawn housing. You know, what have you found that has made us stand out from some of the other providers you've worked with in the industry?
Just making me feel like I'm the one that has the choices, you know, to the point of from the start of, you know, living on my own, knowing that if I need anything fixed or anything like that, it's just a phone call. They've been very adaptable with, you know, certain changes I've wanted to make, because I know that a lot of the houses are built to the same standard and they're expecting, you know, me to live with multiple people or a carer. So, for instance, I've asked if I can have the kitchen modified to bring it down to my level because I don't live with a carer. And there was no qualms. They said, yeah, absolutely, that's fine. So, yeah, nothing's been a struggle. It's been fantastic. And, of course, you know, now that everything's worked out budget-wise as well, which that's been, I must admit, the biggest change is the rent as well. So yeah, it's just made my life a lot easier on many different levels. So
I'm so glad to hear that.
Yeah.
I think that's something that for us is very important, is that we're trying to be participant focused and make sure that you feel heard and that your choice is there and you can make your choice and have control over how you want to live and how you can receive your care. So that's amazing to hear that. One thing you touched on, I just wanted to expand on that, is, you know, did you find it difficult getting the SDA funding?
I had to, I mean, everything's difficult when it comes to the NDIS, I have to say. Once I got over the, you know, having to explain why I needed it and why I needed it so quickly, they were pretty understanding. And I think that the paperwork went through pretty quickly and the funding came through pretty quickly.
Well, that's a good breath of fresh air that it went through smoothly and there was no road bumps. I know that it can be difficult for some people, but I am glad to hear that, you know, the NDIS understood exactly why you needed SDA and were able to help.
I mean, that's the thing. I was a bit scared because of the bad experience I had with the previous company that I was dealing with, and I wasn't very optimistic, I must admit, when I first started the process. But yeah, I've been pleasantly surprised about how easy it was. And that's the thing too, when you move into a home, especially when it's a rental and things, it's almost like you're constantly feeling, this isn't my home. You know, this isn't, I'm not allowed to do things, I'm not allowed to, you know, whereas I was told from the moment I got the keys, basically, if you want to change anything, just ask. If you need anything modified, just ask. You know, this is your home and we want you to be comfortable in it because we want you to stay for as long as you want to stay, which, you know, I don't plan on moving anytime soon. So yeah, it's been good to have that feeling of yes, somebody else owns the house, but it feels like my house.
I agree. That's something that we've really tried to encourage, is that this is your home. It's not a house, it's not a property, it's your home. And I think that's really important. You kind of touched on something about SDA, of what you've kind of learned. What are some of the misconceptions that you feel that are in, you know, that people might have about SDA that you think are wrong?
Pretty much that you're going to be forced to live with people that you don't know, that you're basically going to have to accept certain living conditions or certain, probably not the right way to put it, but it's basically like, we're giving you this gift, you need to accept it as is and don't complain about it, basically. Whereas I was with this home, it was basically, this is your new home. You know, you stay as long as you like. It's that sense of security. It's that sense of, you can modify this to make our number one goal is your comfort, basically. And we want this to feel like yours, and this is uniquely, you know, your home.
That's amazing to hear. And I think that's something that I've definitely heard, is that, you know, some people think that SDA is going to be institutional. And that's something that we're trying to make it really obvious that it's not. It's actually something where we want to make it feel like these are just homes that people can come and make their own. And, you know, if you're in a shared environment, like you're saying, you're going to have a say of who you live with. You know, we want to make sure you're compatible, and in an environment like yours where, you know, your sole occupancy, it does make it a lot easier because you can really take control
Yes.
of how you want to style your home. And I'm looking around your home, and I can really see, a real sense and a real character of yourself. And I'm glad that you could bring that to your, to this beautiful house.
I mean, one of the first homes I was offered was the one in Victor Harbour, where I used to it was closer to work, but I was going to be having to live with two males that I'd never met before.
Yeah.
And that filled me with so much anxiety because of past incidences. Especially when you've grown up in an institution, personal freedom is a huge relief. And to be able to come into my own home and just, feel safe and feel that it's mine was life-changing, basically.
And I can see, we've met them today, but you also have two cats and a dog. Could you tell people a bit about, it's pet friendly? It's
pet friendly, yes. I basically, I just had to write on the lease what animals I had. I've actually asked to make a cat run outside for them, and they've said, yeah, that's fine. And I was told with the first house that I was offered, you can't have any pets. And I said, well, I'm not going then, because I have a therapy dog, and he's my world, basically. Where I go, he goes, and I can't live without him. So that was just an instant, well, I'm not moving then.
Yeah.
Whereas it's never been a problem here, it's never been an issue, so.
Well, I think Gigi and Luna are lovely, and we've met them today, and I think they're playing around, so it's been absolutely great to meet them, and it seems like they've really made a home here as well.
They have.
Probably just the last thing, just an opportunity for you to discuss anything about SDA or Newton housing that's on your mind.
I just think it was a worthwhile investment. Come into it. I had a lot of preconceived ideas about it, that I was going to be made to do these certain things and live a certain way, and it hasn't turned out that way, which has been great. I mean, I've had to make a few adjustments because, as I said, the houses are made for certain ways, and people for the people that live with living carers, so there's certain things I can't reach. I've been given solutions to that, so it's been really good to have that open communication, whereas with the last company I was with, I was constantly kept in the dark. Yes, we'll build you a home, yes, it'll be exactly how you want it, sent me building designs and made me pick one and say, yep, absolutely. Then I told them, I had to move by a certain date, and they just disappeared. So, and then to be so lucky is to say, yep, we've got a house for you. You can move in on this date, whatever you like. Don't have to stress, don't have to worry. It was just such a relief to be able to know that, housing security, financial security, personal security. It's been fantastic.
That's so good. And I just want to touch on you brought up as well something that I think is really important, which is the ability to choose how you want to receive care. Could you talk to us a little bit about that?
That was another one of the issues that I had, was a lot of the SDAs, if you move into one of our houses, you have to have the support team that we employ, we choose. Whereas one of my stipulations when I moved in here was my support network is important to me. I've taken years to establish people that I trust, and they need to be able to come with me. Yeah. And that was never an issue. It was just, yep, that's fine. They're your personal care team, so it's up to you who you have look after you. So
I agree.
Yeah.
I think it's so important that SDA is independent to the care. And we
absolutely.
Are independent. We're completely separate. This is all we do.
Yeah.
So I'm just so glad to hear that you're having a great time, that you're settling in well.
Yeah.
And just thank you again for this opportunity to interview and talk to you and kind of share your story. So
thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.